Hi guys, today we're going to learn about our next animal classification group. Based on these pictures, can you guess what it might be? Exactly, it's birds. We're going to learn about birds today. They really are fascinating creatures. There's so many things I didn't know. So let's get started. I want you to take a minute and look at the pictures on this page. What do you notice about birds? What are some things that all of these birds have in common? So take a minute and compare these birds. Compare, remember, means how are things alike or similar? And then take a minute to look at how they are contrasting or different. Awesome. What you're going to notice about all birds is they all have feathers, right? Birds all have feathers. They all have a beak or a bill. Now a beak is a little shorter and curved, usually a little sharper. A bill is usually flatter and wider. Usually a bill is on a bird that might fish and look for food in the water. All birds have wings. This we know. All birds have 2 legs. Not 3, not 4, not 6, not 8, just 2. Now, there were some things I was curious about when I started learning more about birds and researching them. One of those things was, do all birds have backbones? Are they vertebrates or invertebrates? I wasn't sure. I was also curious about, what do birds eat? Do all birds fly? I mean, we know they all have wings, but do they all fly? We'll see. If they have wings, maybe some birds use their wings for other purposes other than flying. We'll find out. I also was curious about what are the largest and smallest birds, and the largest and smallest eggs. Also, what do the nests look like, and how do they build them? Are they all the same size? Are they all the same color? Do birds use the same materials to build their nests? We'll find out. And lastly, I was curious, do the males and females look the same? So the boy and girl birds, do they have the same coloring? Are they the same size? I was curious about these things. So let's find out. Birds have 2 wings and 2 legs, like we just discussed. Ooh, they are warm-blooded, just like humans, which means the bodies of warm-blooded animals stay warm even in cold places. So our body temperature, just like birds, stays the same unless we're sick. They also breathe air through lungs, just like us. And they have 2 lungs, just like we do. The lungs are the body parts that take the air in, and they also let air out. So all birds have 2 lungs, just like humans. The other animal groups that have lungs were reptiles, and some amphibians also have lungs. So mammals, reptiles, some amphibians, and birds have lungs. Pretty interesting. Oh, here's the answer to another one of my questions right away. All birds have backbones. And remember, a backbone is a group of bones in the middle of an animal's back. And by now we should know the vocabulary word vertebrate. If an animal has a backbone, it is in the vertebrate category. Neat. Birds are covered with feathers. We know this, but I didn't know this. They have soft, fluffy feathers closest to their skin, and these fluffy feathers are called down. And the down feathers are the feathers that actually keep birds warm. Then they have another set of feathers called the flying feathers. These feathers are strong and stiff, and these feathers cover the soft feathers. So the stiff feathers are the feathers that actually help the birds fly. So interesting. So they have 2 sets of feathers. Birds also have feathers of different colors. And some birds have feathers that help the birds hide or stay camouflaged, like this owl over here. It's really tricky to see him, and we know that helps keep them safe. The colors of the feathers match the places where the birds live, which makes sense. Other birds have bright, colorful, beautiful feathers, just like this male peacock down here. This is the male. Look at that display he's putting on. Incredible. Now that gives us a little bit of a hint to one of the things I was curious about. Do male and female birds always look the same? Now we don't have a picture of a female peacock here, so we'll have to keep going and see if we can learn more about that. Most birds can fly. Birds use their wings to take off and land, of course, and in the air they flap their wings to move and turn to help to guide themselves, because we know in the air sometimes they make sharp turns. Birds flap their wings, which means moving them up and down, and we see this anytime we see a bird flying. Now this was really fascinating. We know a bird is a vertebrate, which means it has a backbone, so we know birds have bones in their bodies, but a bird has hollow bones, and hollow bones have empty spaces inside of them. So here you can see I'm highlighting the empty spaces in between their bones, which is really fascinating. And I always wondered about that because if you look over here at these giant pelican birds, they are so big and they appear to be so heavy. And I was always wondering, how do birds that are that heavy get off the ground to fly? And now we know, because their bones are hollow inside. And a hollow bone makes a bird's body light. And having a light body makes it easier for a bird to fly. Now, when I was trying to think of how to explain hollow to you guys, the first thing that came to my mind was like an empty, a paper towel tube. So if you have paper towels in your house, and after the last one is used, and to be honest, I guess you don't even have to wait, you can just look through the center or the middle of that tube, and there's nothing inside. It's hollow. So that's an example. You can probably find other things in your house that are hollow as well. Now here's an interesting statement. Why birds fly? Why do you think birds fly? I never really gave it much thought. It's just what they do. But flying helps birds stay alive in a couple different ways. When birds can't find food in one place, they're lucky. They can simply fly to another place to find more food. Birds also fly when other animals are hunting them, so it's a way for them to escape and get away. The birds in this picture are flying away to get away from this jackal that is hunting them for dinner. Fly, birdies, fly. Ooh, this will answer another one of the things I was curious about. What do birds eat? Different birds eat different foods. I figured that. Some birds eat plant foods, such as seeds, and animals that eat plant foods are called herbivores. That's kind of a new word. We've talked about it slightly before, but we've never really gone into much more depth about it. Herbivores are animals that eat only plants, so they never eat meat. They eat grasses, plants, seeds, things of that nature. Some birds, though, eat other animals, and we know those animals that eat meat, other animals, are called carnivores. See how that word and all this vocabulary keeps popping up? Now, finding food. Birds do not like to share their meals with other birds. And to be honest, I don't blame them, because when I'm really hungry, I don't want to share my food with anyone either. So most birds look for food alone. But some birds look for food in groups. And obviously looking for food in groups can help birds find more to eat. Think about it. When you work together, you usually have more success. Think about us in our classroom. At the end of the day, if only one kid or one teacher was in charge of cleaning up, it would take forever. That's why we work as a group, a team. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? We get it done quicker. Oh, down here is a cute little picture of a mama feeding the babies, because mamas bring their food back for their babies. Some babies only need their mama's help for a short time, and other birds will be needed to take care of for longer periods of time. It just depends on the species. Birds live almost everywhere on Earth. They make homes in dry places, wet places, warm places, cold places. The natural places where they live are called their habitats, and we know that. And we'll look more into habitats in the next couple weeks. But some birds live in forests, they live in fields and deserts, and they live in places that are near water. Some birds even live in the coldest parts of the world. Can you think about an area or a continent even that might be one of the coldest places in the world? If you guessed Antarctica, you're correct. So smart. Some birds live in places where the winters are cold, like here in Rochester. We get cold weather in the winter. Think about when we're out on the playground when it's almost time for winter. We always hear the birds above us, and when we look up, a lot of them are in the form of a V. We hear them because they're really loud, and sometimes you guys will say, where are they all going? And if you remember, I'll say they're going to migrate. They're going someplace warmer for winter. They don't want to stick around where it's so cold, so they sometimes fly someplace like maybe Florida, where it's nice and warm all winter. That's called migration, when an animal leaves one area to go to another area for a certain amount of time. But then, when the weather starts to get warmer, they come on back. So just like in my backyard right now, there are way many birds than there were during the winter. Here are the nests. Most birds make nests, not all, but most. And nests are warm, safe places where birds lay their eggs. When the babies hatch, they live in the nests, and then their mama comes back and feeds them. Sometimes nests are in trees, sometimes they're on the ground, but usually the mama bird does a really good job trying to hide the nest to keep it away from predators. Nests can be many shapes and sizes. Different kinds of birds make nests using different things. But a lot of times nests are made from things that they simply find right around on the ground. Leaves, twigs, feathers, and mud. Sometimes even if you have something outside like string or yarn, you'll see those things in nests as well. Birds will use whatever they can to make a nice, tight, secure nest for their eggs and their babies. Now in this next page, here are some different eggs. You'll see down here, the smallest egg of a bird, and that's a hummingbird's egg, and it's really, really tiny. Here is the ostrich egg, which is the largest egg hatched by a bird, and it can weigh up to 5 pounds. If you guys remember from Mystery Doug, I think the question might have been, do people eat ostrich eggs? And the answer was they can, but they usually don't because they're so hard to get into. It's almost like cracking a coconut. It takes a lot of power and strength. So ostrich eggs are usually pretty safe from predators. Some birds live on the ground and hardly ever fly. The wings of these birds are weak, weaker than birds that fly and hunt. But their legs and feet are really strong for walking and also for protecting themselves. Turkeys and chickens are birds that live on the ground. They can fly, but they can't fly far. So here's our little average chicken that we would see on a farm. Here's a turkey out in the wild. Turkey doesn't look like it can fly, but it actually can. And when it does fly, it can fly quickly, but just not for long periods of time. Now other animals and other birds we know live near in the water. And when birds live near or in the water, you see they'll have these webbed feet. And webbed means that they have skin between their toes. And that helps them move through the water more smoothly and more quickly. So that's an adaptation that birds have. And it helps them survive in their environment. Now birds that hunt. The bodies of some birds are built for hunting other animals. And birds that hunt are really good flyers. We're talking about eagles and falcons. Those are the type of birds that we'll see circling up above us, and they're always looking for field mice and other small animals to come down and grab with their sharp claws called talons. And they use those talons to catch and carry their food. Birds that hunt use their sharp beaks too, and they use their beaks to tear their food into pieces so they can eat it. because they don't have teeth. When birds are hunting, some of them hunt during the day and others are night hunters. So this owl here, we know owls are nocturnal. So they sleep during the day and they're awake at night. And that's when they do their hunting. This poor little mouse better watch out. And one thing that makes owls so stealth is that their wings are made and created so that air passes through them. So you rarely hear them coming. It's like a sneak attack. They sneak right up on their prey. Now we know birds, some of them anyway, can't fly. Ah, poor little friends. A few birds can't fly. And birds that can't fly have big bodies with small little wings. Their small wings can't lift their big bodies into the air. So birds that can't fly must walk or swim. They have strong legs and feet to carry them. And so in order to protect themselves, they attack their enemies with their sharp claws. Okay? And if you're a penguin and you're in the water, you're built for speed. So penguins are very fast swimmers, and that's how they escape their predators. And they can also jump out of the water to get away from them as well when they're closer to land. Now over here is a picture of an ostrich. And an ostrich is a super fast runner. Like an ostrich, you guys, can run up to 43 miles per hour. When I am driving close to school, I think the speed limit is like 25 or 30 miles an hour. So if an ostrich was racing my car down the street, the ostrich would win because it can go much faster than my car is allowed to go on certain streets, which is pretty cool. I don't know what I'd do if I saw an ostrich running next to me. Now here's a size comparison when we were talking about the tallest bird, the biggest bird, and also the smallest. If you look over here, here's our ostrich. And our ostrich is the largest land bird. And they're 9 feet tall. They can grow up to be 9 feet tall. Now, in one of Mrs. Ferrer and Miss G's videos the other day, there was a size comparison about giraffes. And this is the male giraffe. And a male giraffe, we learned, can grow up to be 18 feet tall. So ostriches are very tall, and they are the tallest bird, but they're still half the size of a male giraffe. 9 is exactly half of 18. Now if you look up here, here's the hummingbird. And look where he's sitting, right on someone's hand in between fingers. So right away that gives you a sense of just how small hummingbirds are. They're only 2 to 3 inches long. That's amazing. They're so beautiful also. I'm hoping to find a video of a hummingbird. And if I don't, you guys should ask your grown-up to Google hummingbirds. It is amazing how quickly they flap their wings. It's insane. Now here, over here on the left, is a hummingbird nest. And you can look and see how small it actually is. They're doing a size comparison here with a quarter. We all know how big a quarter is. It's small. It's only 1 inch wide. So a quarter could actually fit over the top of that nest and snuggle right in. And there are 2 eggs in that nest. So that tells you and shows you just how small a hummingbird and a hummingbird's nest and eggs are. Really cool. Now your homework, guys. Homework. Your homework is to create, I don't know why my pen's not working right there. There we go. Your homework is to create your own species of bird. I want you to think about the parts of birds that we talked about. A beak, feathers, legs, wings, the type of feet they have, whether they have sharp talons or webbed feet. And I want you to incorporate those features into your own creation. So they give you some ideas here, and you can create your own body. Think about if your bird will be colorful or plain, if your bird will have a long or short tail. Think about what your bird will eat. What kind of beak will it have? Will its neck be long and thin? Will it be short and stubby? The beak, the legs, the feet. So many options. Some of you were doing a project like this with Miss Spear in art. So get creative and create your own bird species. I'm going to turn the page here, and this page can serve as some inspiration. If you're not sure what direction you want to go in, take a look at some of these pictures and think about those features. Like if you want your bird to have really long legs, like a flamingo, they might look like this. Or short stubby legs, kind of like maybe this penguin, where you can barely see them, or this beautiful bluebird. Now that's not a blue jay, but I picked it because it was blue and it's my favorite color. Or maybe your bird will have webbed feet, like down here on this mallard duck. And again, that's actually a boy. And I skipped a slide, guys, so I'll send that separately that shows the differences between males and females, all right? Now think about the eyes on your bird. Some birds have eyes that are beady looking like this. Look at this cute little owl up here. Oh my goodness, his eyes are huge. Probably to help him see at night, because we know owls are nocturnal. Here on this falcon or hawk, look at those talons. Maybe the bird that you draw and create will have sharp feet, sharp toes and talons. Maybe your bird will have a crazy hairdo, like this cockatiel, or this guy here. He doesn't look too happy. Needs to get his hair brushed. This guy has lots of crazy hair too. So there are so many options. Think about the feathers, the beak, the bill, the wings, the feet, all of those things. Have fun with this. It's a really fun homework project. I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'm going to try it too. Take care, guys. See you next time. Hey, guys, I actually included 2 more pages because I forgot to include these with the book originally, and I wanted you to see this. So these are 3 nests that I found at some point in the last couple years in my backyard, either on the ground or in trees. And you can see how different these nests are. Now, I don't know what type of birds created these nests, but I'm guessing maybe 3 different kinds of birds because they're all very different. If you can see, this nest here on the left is larger, it's wider from side to side, and it's also pretty flat, okay? And then, let's see, the nest here in the middle is definitely smaller. I can deduce or make an educated guess that a smaller bird created that nest, and the eggs would be smaller because there's not as much room in there. So I'm going to guess that's a smaller bird that created that nest. It's pretty neat. And then over here on the right, this nest, it's hard to tell, I know, but it's much stronger. There's mud in this nest. These first 2 nests are actually kind of fragile. Every time I pick them up, more and more twigs fall away from them. But this nest on the right here that I circled in green, it's very strong. It's packed with mud, and it's also much deeper. You can't see the egg that I put in there very well. It's hidden. So I think it offers a little bit more protection. But either way, just so you know, those are eggs from my refrigerator. I just took them out and placed them in the nest so you guys could get an idea of the size of the nest, okay? So I thought that was pretty cool to show you. And then really quickly, I wanted to make sure we got information about the males and female birds because I was curious, do male and female birds always look the same? And I didn't investigate, obviously, every bird because I forgot to mention that there are over 10,000 species of birds, which is crazy, but true. Now, when we look at these types of birds, these species, here on the left are our ducks. Regular old ducks that we can see here around Rochester. And the top bird is the male. He actually is called a mallard. And look at the difference between the male and the female. What do you notice? The male is definitely more colorful. The female just has a little bit of color on the feathers, but the male's neck and head feathers much more colorful. Let's go over here and look at these turkeys. Turkeys are kind of strange looking birds, aren't they? So this here that I'm circling now is the male. much more colorful and flamboyant than the female next to him. And then up here, we look at these cardinals. Let's see if I can get that circled here. Those are cardinals, and I have so many cardinals in my backyard. I love watching them. They usually come really close to one of my windows, so I get to kind of check them out on a regular basis. But here on the left is the male. So he's beautiful in red, and then the female bird is also beautiful, but doesn't really have a lot of color. More subdued, just light brown. And what I learned is the males tend to be more colorful because they like to show off for the girls. They like to get the girls' attention. And the girls, the females, tend to be lighter in color, not so colorful and flamboyant, because they like to blend in with their surroundings, and that helps protect their nest and their babies. So I thought that was really interesting and wanted to make sure I got it in there for you guys. Okay, that's really it. See you later.